Protesters breathe a sigh of relief. Wednesday afternoon, the Minnesota Attorney General announcing charges against all of the officers on scene when George Floyd died in custody.
Thank God that we're different than the United States. And we don't have the systemic, deep roots they have had for years.
In the UK, an artist painted the face of Floyd on this huge concrete structure on a traffic island.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made an unexpected visit to the Ottawa protests, even taking a knee, which was a very powerful image on the streets, even as some people denounced his actions earlier in the week, when it took him 21 seconds to decide whether or not he would denounce the actions of U.S. President Donald Trump.
Say the looters, the anarchists, the agitators, they say, what a terrible thing for our president to say.
In some ways, as tragic as these past few weeks have been, as difficult and scary and uncertain as they've also been an incredible opportunity for people to be awakened to some of these underlying issues.
There's so much happening in the world right now. We have fires, a global pandemic, killer hornets. 2020 is kind of like a Jumanji game. But the racism that's happening right now, that's no joke, and that is no game. It's been said that we don't have systemic racism here in Canada, but that's a lie. Systemic racism is very real here. It might be a little bit subtle, based on the way that it's publicized and how the media covers it, but it's real. I'm a black woman who is married to a white man, and we have 2 biracial children. And I can tell you, racism in Canada is a real thing. It's difficult for us to go anywhere without us getting stares. If we go to the grocery store together, almost all of the cashiers always ask us, "Are you together?" with this puzzled look on their faces. At a restaurant, they always bring separate bills. But that's not where it ends. You see racism on so many different platforms. If you go into the drugstore, for example, I could barely find a foundation that will fit my complexion. You also see racism in our police and justice system. It's also in our school and educational system. Racism is a real thing here in Canada. You would think that because we are in year 2020, it would be a thing of the past, but we are dealing with it in very real ways right here, right now. No, we're not the United States of America, and no, we are not seeing a lot of the publicity and a lot of the media covering our racism here in this country, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that doesn't mean that the fight is not ours. Just because our neighbors in the South are going through it in a different way doesn't mean that we are not a part of the same fight. We have to get to a place where all lives do matter. And in saying all lives matter, we include black lives. It's funny because you do see black people represented in various platforms, and you can see how far we've come, but it's simply not enough because we're still dealing with racism. And until racism is no longer a thing, we still have work to do. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, and I'm not saying that I know exactly what to do, because I don't. I'm still learning about my history. I'm still learning about my own voice, what I have to say, what I have to do, and how I can make a lasting change. But what I do know is that as a mom, we have responsibilities to raise our children in the right way, to raise them in such a way where in them, racism is abolished. That when they grow up, they will be kind people, they will be respectable people, and they will love each and every person equally, no matter of the color of their skin. That's the perspective that I come at this from. And I thought that maybe I can come up with a few points so that maybe our children can live in a world where racism doesn't exist. Demonstrate kindness. When you're in the grocery stores, when you're out in the park, be kind to everyone you see. Canada is one of the most multicultural countries. So it's not hard for you to walk down the street, go into your grocery store, or visit the library and see a bunch of different people that don't look like yourself. Be kind to all of them. Show your kids that you do not have partialities to people because of their skin color. Be kind to everyone. Demonstrate this kind of kindness in the view of your children. Your kids are watching, they will pick up on it, and they will learn kindness by how you demonstrate it. Refuse to accept racism in all its forms. Don't laugh at those black jokes that sometimes you get in your emails. Don't repost stupid things about color and inequality and all of that crap, because it is not funny. We have to choose not to laugh at these things. And when we decide that it's not funny anymore, maybe we can teach our children that it's not funny. If we're not laughing, they won't laugh. Racism is not funny. Expose your children to diversity. Maybe you do live in a predominantly white neighborhood and your kids attend a white school or a predominantly black school. Whatever the case is, there are ways to expose your children to diversity. Yes, Canada is very multicultural, but sometimes we can develop these little niches where our kids only see people like themselves. But there's ways around that. You can read books, for example, that have representation of all cultures. You could visit other neighborhoods. You can take them to other restaurants. There's so many things that we can do that exposes our children to diversity and multiculturalism in the right way. When you show your children the differences of our skin colors, show them the positive aspects. Don't just focus on the media and the news and the negativity. When you're exposing your children to different cultures and different races, show them the good parts about being black. Don't just limit it to what you're seeing on the news and the negative aspects of it. They need to see the full picture. And if you do have to bring up the negativity, talk about it in a constructive way. Have a conversation with them. Don't just give them racist point of views or give them ideas that help them to become racist. Allow them to be open with the discussion, but allow the positivity to shine through. Be honest with your children. None of us have all the answers. But it is not okay to remain in a place of ignorance. Seek the information with them. They will appreciate it. If we are learning with our children, we can turn that into awesome opportunities and awesome experiences. They'll remember it. They will grow up knowing that you cared about it and that you did something about it, and they too will do something about it. There's an old saying that says, kids learn what they live. So if you're living in a way that demonstrates racism, it's very likely that your children will grow up to be racist too. We don't want that. Let 2020 be the last year that we have to talk about racism in this way. Let it be the last year that we have to bury black children because of the color of their skin. Let this year be the last year that we have to riot, that we have to protest, that we have to gather, and that we have to beg for equality. Let 2020 be the year that we come together and we start to see each other for who we are, as being equal, as being lives that matter. All lives do matter, but that statement cannot be true unless Black lives matter too. Participate. If there are peaceful protests that you'd like to get involved with, do it. There's so much information out there, and there's so many different ways that you can get involved, that you can stand against racism with your children. I can't tell you what the appropriate age is to talk to your children about racism, but I can tell you that silence is not the answer, and ignorance is not bliss. We've got to raise our children to be kind and to be respectable and to love regardless of the color of our skin. Listen, I know this video is a little different, but I felt that I had to say something, and I want you to be a part of the conversation. Put a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I want you to join the club too. Hit the subscribe button and press the bell so that you're notified when I post new videos. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video.